course, you can say yes, no, I see myself here, but not there. So it's like a very much broad definition. And then, you know, there is also some concept that basically shows you, like as a musician who comes from country A to country B. So you have basically these three options. So one is that you reject what you find here, or you can accept what you find here, or do selective. I mean, have a choice. I like this, I don't like that, I will accept this, I will reject that. And then this brings to this process called transculturation, and then it still has this compartmentalization and syncretism and transformation. So where do you see yourselves in this? I will have specific questions a little bit later, but I think this is basically what I have in mind. Okay, and then I will show a little bit, maybe one little video, and then ask you for a comment, yeah? Okay. Shall we now move here? Thank you. This one? Yeah, we can be around. Kako se počutite, no? Je v redu tako?
Zdaj moraš še požarati vogale, da bo okrogla miza.
You can also turn the microphone towards yourself. Okay, we already started. Bharat said that we can associate his name and his person actually to India. Dalanda, what would you say?
I am from Slovenia. My mother is Slovenian and my father is from Guinea, so I have African origin.
Thank you.
Okay, I am originally from Argentina, from South America. But it's interesting, I always need to clarify this information that I am not of Slovenian origin, because there's a very large community here of Slovenian Argentines, and I'm not part of that. I am 100% Argentinian. Which means, of course, 50% Italian, 50% Jewish. So, that's it.
I am American. I live from California and Colorado, and I'm married to a Slovenian man, and I've lived here for 13 years. Govorim slovensko.
Nagisa?
Yes, I'm Nagisa from Japan. I came to Slovenia just by happen and I stay here for 25 years already. Wow, govorim slovensko. Yes.
Lasanti?
I'm Lasanti from Sri Lanka, and I'm also living here for 13 years, like Anna, the same. Govorim malo slovensko tudi. And yeah, so.
And Ali?
I'm Ali. I'm half Iraqi, half Syrian. Mainly Syrian. I was born in Syria. And I've been living in Slovenia for about 9 years. Govorim tudi slovensko.
Thank you. I'm curious. So you can see that in various ways, Dalanda was, for example, born in Slovenia. So do you consider yourself a second generation in a sense?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and Dalanda is an exception, I would say, here, because all other participants came at one point or the other, like Nagisa came in the 1990s, right? And Bharat, I think, is the latest newcomer, I would say.
Came last year.
Last year. So.
And you're still here.
Yeah, I made it.
Yes. They're involved in very different musical fields. And not only music. In ICTM we relate very closely music and dance. And I'm mentioning this because of Dalanda, right?
Yeah.
So what is your musical or dance orientation?
I dance African dance and also contemporary dance, so I try to combine the two styles together also. And it gives me an opportunity to stay in contact with a part of my culture, actually. So in the sense that African dance is very closely related to music and almost cannot exist without music. I can say that like dance and music are actually one and the same thing in Africa, in West African culture, I can say, because I don't know other parts very well. So,
Arat, what do you do musically?
Well, musically, I started with the Carnatic form of music, which is a classical music from South India. So India has two kinds of classical music, Hindustani and Carnatic, and I learned Carnatic music mainly through the vocal tradition I learned from my mother. And then, of course, with all the internet in the 2000s, I discovered Western music and I played popular music. So that's when I started playing guitar. And I've studied a lot of contemporary music through a phase of my life. And right now, I'm a doctoral student here in Ljubljana. Yeah.
So, Carlos, are you a tango aficionado or something else?
Yeah, right. No, actually, when I was listening to Parat here, I think I had a very similar story, only in the opposite direction. Because I started within the Western academic music world, studying piano at a conservatory in my native Buenos Aires, until I met, just by happenstance, I met a couple of people doing Hindustani music, which is the academic tradition of North India. And I studied and practiced and performed tabla, which is the main percussion instrument of that tradition, for many, many years, until a couple of years ago, I came in touch with the Carnatic tradition, which is the academic music of the south of India. And that's where I'm at now, so no tango in sight.
Okay. Anna?
I can take this one. I'm probably the least academic of this bunch.
Good.
I kind of went to the school of life, as they say in cliche, in America. I just simply moved to Los Angeles, worked right away as a singer, toured the world, performed on many world stages, met my husband to be, moved with him here, was accepted very positively in Slovenia, and performed Eurovision.
Sorry.
No problem. I know it's a lot to imagine. It's crazy.
I don't think that hearing the word Eurovision will have such an effect.
Yeah, it does that to me as well now. But yes, I continued to work here in Slovenia before Corona, quite a bit, and feel very fortunate, actually. Really enjoy the musical community here in Slovenia. So.
Thank you. Marisa?
So, first I started to play piano, like tablas, when I was a child, and started the Japanese instrument koto, it's like citra in Slovenian. And when I came here, I decided to bring it here because of my homesickness. I thought that maybe music can, with the Japanese music, or playing Japanese music by myself, release me in a different world, and I brought it here, and some Slovene people, other people found me, and fortunately I can play those instruments. I have some more instruments from Japan. I could play those instruments with Slovene players, or Slovene composers, or Carlos.
I'm Slovene too.
Yes, almost. So this is my basic career in Slovenia.
Thank you. Lasagna?
Yeah, my musical beginning is from the family. I started to sing following my father from my childhood. It was like Sri Lankan folk, pop kind of music, and then when I started a kind of serious in my education in school, so I started Hindustani music, like singing. And after my graduation, I went to Banaras Hindu University for my master's studies. So there I switched to violin. So I mastered violin. But my basic love is for singing. So I'm a person who sings whole 24 hours. Sometimes 12 verses.
We know.
Oh my God! Oh my God! You are still singing, yeah. So, and then after I moved to Slovenia, first thing I wanted to, whenever I heard songs, I wanted to learn. First experience was in Bosnia when we were in Sevdalinka museum. One song was just calling me. I couldn't come out from the museum. I asked Sonibo, what is this song? It is like it is very much closer to Indian music for me. I couldn't come out. Then Sonibo said, okay, when we go home, I will tell you what is the song. This was the Moi Dil Bere. So this was first song.
I thought so.
Yeah, which was like
that song.
Yes, so touchy, and it's beautiful song. And then slowly I started to learn many Slavic songs. So it doesn't matter for me. I don't have any borders for music. I wanted to learn whatever it comes to my plate.
Thank
Yes.
you. Ali?
Okay. Oh. So, when I was about 6 years old, I come from a non-musical family. They're all like nurses and doctors. And I was the black sheep. I was not into this kind of thing. So, I was obsessed with national anthems. So, I had a toy instrument that played from C to C without the black keys. So you just had to play either a major on a minor on a C, major on A minor. And first anthem I played by ear was Germany, for some reason. And after it was Israel. I never knew why. I'm like, something must connect here. So as I'm growing up, my dad lived in Cuba before I was born, and then in Spain, and he was really obsessed with flamenco and Cuban music. So at 16 years old, I decided to learn music on my own, and there was a guitar at home, so I started with flamenco. And because I was a teenager who thinks life is hard, I switched to metal, right?
We've been there.
And after I came to Europe, 4 years metal was not, I grew up basically. So I was into ethnic music, and of course Sevdalinka. And I was once invited to a Sevdalinka concert to perform, and they played Moi Dil Bere, and I was like, what is this awesomeness? And after ethnic music, basically I came to Slovenia to study music production, so I finished that. And now I mainly do pop music production, and I do ethno performances, like I sing in many languages, from songs from all around Europe, a bit Middle Eastern music as well.
Thank you, wonderful introduction. I'm just curious, do you know each other from earlier on? Do
I
we have
only
some
know
connections?
Dalinda.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry, and Agisa, we performed together in the Prešernove Nagrade, the anthem thing, so it followed
Yes,
me.
we will come to this.
Yeah, and they told me to do the Slovene anthem in Arabic. It was a complete coincidence. So, and then they asked for it in Slovenian in another event. So there's the anthem curse following me.
Okay, and Dalanda, you also know each other from
Yeah.
before, yeah?
Yeah,
How?
but I didn't know he's a musician because
Because I was a video, I was like a cameraman
Yeah.
for their event.
yeah, because I'm leading the African choir of Slovenia called Sankofa, and we had the 10th anniversary, and Ali was filming our concert. Yeah.
See? Any other connections here in this group?
Well, it's interesting. I know everybody from before, but these two. I mean, we played with La Santi many years together. Same with Nagisa. We also played a couple of times with a different instrument. You came to one concert.
A very special Carnatic concert by you.
Yeah, not just me.
Yeah.
Of course not, with a Slovenian singer that sings Carnatic music. And with Hannah we met briefly once, way 10 years ago.
What would you say? What was that?
At the guest star. Remember that?
Oh yes, okay, yes,
Some
now I
guest
remember.
Time
Yes,
2010.
yes,
star-
yes. I had remembered you, and now
2010,
I remember you.
exactly,
Yeah,
2010.
yeah.
So what is Slovenia Times or?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
Organized.
That doesn't exist anymore.
So
I
there
don't
was
think
something
so.
called the guest star. And then this journal in Slovenia was just selecting, you know, putting like several persons, like the most successful immigrants in the sense, in the fields of culture, economy, politics,
Sports, yeah.
and sports. Yeah, so these 4 categories. And
Hannah won.
the winner was. Yes. So tell me now, you saw this definition of minority before. Do you see yourselves over there? Do you have any comments about it?
Yeah, that's
So
a loaded question.
anybody can start. We don't need to follow always the same order.
I can start that I was born a refugee in Syria because my father is Iraqi. So I couldn't be Syrian. My mother is Syrian. Because he was a political refugee, I was a political refugee for some reason. So for almost 22 years I had a paper from the UNHCR saying that I'm a refugee in Syria and they can't send me back to Iraq. And I'm like, never been there, but yeah. So, and now I'm here. I came as a student. But I ended up 5 years ago applying, 6 years ago applying for asylum. So I'm back as a refugee. Yeah, that is the.
Sorry, what is your status at the moment?
I have permanent residence permit. So I do have a refugee status with a permanent residence permit. That feels more natural than having a citizenship.
Okay. Anybody else would like to comment?
Well, for me, I think it's interesting, this idea of minority and geography, for instance, because typically it's associated with a particular place. Having sort of been to different places, starting with my undergrad in Singapore and then going to Spain for my master's, teaching in China, being in Slovenia, most of my 20s were actually spent outside of India. And I find it interesting every time I go back to India, I can identify myself as a minority in my own city, where the South Indians think I'm a North Indian or from outside the country even, and are surprised to hear me speak a language. And then in North India, they're just confused by who I am, like what I'm doing in that part of the world. So it's interesting to be a sort of outsider in any given context, even in your perceived home.
It's a very interesting point. Dalanda, would you like to add something on this?
Yes, maybe. Yes, I mean, I was born in the beginning of the 80s, and at that time there were very few African people living in Slovenia. I mean, there are still very few now, but then it was even less. So, I mean, it was really hard to walk on the street without people looking at you, and so this was really hard for me as a child. I mean, now I'm used to it, so I don't notice it anymore, but
But still happens.
it happens, yeah, especially in villages, maybe in the cities less. Yeah. So I would definitely, I mean, I feel Slovenian because I'm born here. My mother's tongue is Slovenian. So, but just from the way that society perceives you, you cannot feel only Slovenian. I mean, I am Slovenian and African. So, yeah.
Can I comment on
Yes,
that?
yes, of course.
That's also the way I define myself as well, that I am an Argentinian, no question about it, but I also am Slovenian. I think it's a question of adding identities, not replacing them. And but of course that adds to quite a bit of confusion because when you go back, in my case, to Buenos Aires, I'm really a different person that I used to be, and I miss all those things that I have in Slovenia, and vice versa, you know. But I also wanted to make the mention that even though I am a part of a minority, I would even call it a hyper minority, because people like myself that are very, very few, I have the privilege of passing like Slovenia, because I look the part. You know, I can go walking around Ljubljana, and as long as I don't speak, because I do have an accent, when I speak, I'm okay. You know, and eventually what happens is, okay, they ask me, okay, where are you from? And I said, Weiderschna. Okay. I said, but really? Yeah, Weiderschna. And if I want to tell the story, I do. And if I don't, I don't. And that's it. Whereas for, I would guess that for people such as yourself, that's not the case.
Yes, it's always, I mean, for me, it's always people asking me where am I from.
Where you're really from.
Yeah, yeah. And also like commenting on how well I speak Slovenian. This is really funny. So yeah, those are the most common two things that people ask or tell me. Yeah. But yeah, you cannot pass for Slovenian because you look different, and it's very hard for people to understand that you are Slovenian.
Yeah, but this is Slovenian. This is how Slovenian looks.
Yeah, and also because when I tell them yes, they say, "Oh, you speak very good Slovenian," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm born here. My mother is Slovenian," and they're like, "No, really, you speak so well." Like they don't even hear what I'm saying. So yeah. But you know, sometimes it's frustrating. But now I mean, it's been happening for such a long time that usually I say back to them, "Oh, your Slovenian is very good, also." So
I said that too.
Yeah.
How is it really with Slovenian? When are you in the positions, let's say, in the everyday life, when you would like to converse in Slovene, but you get the answer in English?
Oh.
Did you experience that?
Oh yeah.
All the time. I know about Lasant, you know, when she goes to the green market even, and then she asks in Slovene, so I would like 3 tomatoes and 5 potatoes. How do they react?
Yeah, some in China, within 6 months, I could immediately come to the language, and then to day-to-day communication was very easy, and it's not a problem at all, because everywhere, wherever we go out from the international guest house, we cannot survive. Even we cannot buy a bottle of water in the supermarket. If we ask, they don't know what it is. So definitely we have to master the language. But here, everybody speaks, almost everybody speaks English. So it is amazing that villagers who come to sell something also try to accommodate, thinking that I cannot express myself, to help me. I don't get it as a bad thing. I'm very happy. Whatever it is, I'm extremely happy in Slovenia, because people are so kind and nice. They never think that, she's black and whatever. Yeah, sometimes they say Bella. So I thought in the beginning, these people are so nice, kind, and they are really respectful. They didn't say to me Charna, instead they are saying Bella. So one day I wanted to stop one man and to tell him, thank you, Gospod. I'm very happy that you didn't discriminate me saying Charna, but you told me Bella. But I was late, so I was running. And when I went to the language class, teacher taught the barba, like colors. And then when in the break, I said, "Madam, I had an experience today. Somebody said to me, Bella." So I wanted to tell him that, no, I'm Charna, but you are so nice and kind gentleman. Thank you so much. Then whole class started to laugh. And they said, no, Lasanti, it is Bella. It is like, beautiful. And then
but
now...
it's in Italian.
In Italian, yeah, I know.
You wouldn't expect this.
No, and even last week it happened in the when I walk in the old part of the Ljubljana city. One man was sitting and drinking kava, and then said to me Bella again. but I pretend, now I know, so I pretended that I didn't hear, or he's telling me, I just ignored him and went. So it's okay. So it is like this, so it's very beautiful experience for me.
What's with the Italians hitting on women?
That's the Italians.
Yeah.
But at some point it happened that somebody just in the street came to her, just in her face, chocolada. So it happens.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you know, we can laugh about this and think, oh, how nice it is, but maybe you know about this experience in Novi Sad, when one famous opera singer who is Romani herself, actually was stopped at the exit of the supermarket. So somebody stole something, you know, from the place, and then the person in charge was not able to stop several persons, you know, several candidates. So he selected her because she looked like Roma, and then all the stereotypes are associated. Well, who is you remember this film? Who is singing over there? Koto tamo peva. Yeah, we know who is stealing. And then, of course, it was a big scandal because she was an opera performer, and she performed in Ljubljana at some point when Traja Brizani, like a Romani musician, invited her to perform in his musical, like The Glass Apple. And again, it's interesting. Some people here also performed in that musical. But so this is the other thing, or when Oprah Winfrey was refused to be served when she wanted to buy a purse in Italy, just as or in Switzerland, assuming that she doesn't have enough money for such an expensive item, you know, these kind of things. So this is, of course, the other side. Did you have any of, let's say, negative experiences in that sense?
No, because I'm white.
Yeah.
Sorry to be so
Sure.
blunt, but
Yeah.
that's the thing. I assume it would be a similar experience to you because we pass. But correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I haven't had anything, you know, racially negative happen to me, of course, as well.
Colored people.
Yeah.
How's it going?
But maybe it depends on the person. Maybe we're musicians, somehow our dancers, and we're, how to say, optimistic. Anyhow, a friend of mine said that everyone is looking at me in Ljubljana, and then everyone is they're pointing at me. So kids are, I don't know, throwing something to me. I have never experienced such a thing, but maybe I had such experience, but I didn't notice it. Yeah, maybe.
I had one that I remember like 8 years ago. I had this friend. It was like I just met people, and his mother asked him, "So how is Ali in Slovenia? Is he like, do people treat him badly because he's black?" And he looked at her and was like, "Mom, Ali is not black." Like, and it was this kind of things. And also a lot of people think I'm Indian. Yeah, so there is this, but like that's the maximum.
You're welcome.
But I still wanted to add that from most of us, if not all of us, we have this superpower that we do speak the language. So if even in my experience it is that if you speak the language, it really helps a ton. Because yes, they might have that negative prejudice about people of color, but the moment you start speaking the language, you're immediately nash, you know?
Yeah.
And that immediately predisposes them to a better encounter. I always say that if anything, I experience positive discrimination here because there's no discrimination based on the way I look, and there is positive outcome because I speak the language, right?
Yeah.
So that's something I always
Where do
comment
you get
on.
discriminated for the way you look?
Sorry?
Probably nowhere. For the like if you're from Europe or But for example, I had this interview with the UN youth delegate a couple of days ago, and one of her family members was very angry because I did the interview in English, and I mentioned in the interview that I passed the Slovenian exam. And he wrote some angry, "Why do you speak English then? Show off your Slovenian skills, blah, 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 blah." And you know, most of my people don't even speak the language, so they would not understand what I'm saying. So I wrote him actually in Dolenshchina, and I told him that I speak Dolenshchina, like some double bushpashkul. This is not very good for interview. And then it was like, oh, cool, you're.
Oh, that's
not.
Yeah.
Great. So let's move maybe then to this, about this reculturation and deculturation and transculturation. Where do you see yourselves in this? Do you tend to reject what you experience here, or maybe to fully accept, or to do some kind of transformation, selection in between? How do you feel about these three choices? Are you crossing these boundaries, or do you prefer one over the others?
Are we talking about music?
Music, huh?
Transculturation for me personally.
Me too.
Okay, we have two transculturations. How about the others?
Me too.
Yes?
Me too.
So in your music making, actually, then you follow this middle model, yeah? Okay, so you like to do some fusions. I guess this also means that you participate with other musicians, maybe Slovenian musicians too, yeah? Yeah. All of you have experience of playing together with Slovenians?
Definitely, yes.
Yes. Okay.
May I comment about the music of immigration or
Of course,
minority
Marisa, please,
from
please.
the former slide about the definition?
Yes.
Yes. Well, thank you. So I don't know if I am a part of, I am a player of on this definition, because I'm here and I'm playing Japanese traditional music and others, and I have luckily some core players, but I don't feel that I am, or my Japanese traditional music is at high risk at all, because in Slovenia I'm a minority, and this is very natural because this is a Slavic country and Japan is 9,000 kilometers away from here, and we have 100 people of community, Japanese community, and the Japanese traditional music is somehow less popular even in Japan because it's too old and too boring. And of course I am a minority here, but a minority in Japanese community in Slovenia already, yes. And but I like it, and I'm playing at home and somewhere else, and so I don't feel that I'm a, how to say, I'm a minority. Yes, in number, yes, but Japanese people are 100 times bigger than the Slovene population, and maybe players of traditional music in Japan are as much as the Slovene people. So when I think of that, I don't think that I'm an in number minority and minority players of music, but I don't think, yes.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, thank you.
Yes, you do.
So I'm not very in danger.
Right, in that sense, being a minority and
Yeah.
in danger.
I like to play and I like the music, so I play and that's all. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm not very, I don't have any quality to talk about Japanese music as a minority music.
Hannah, would you like to add something to
Well,
this?
I can relate
Yes.
as well. I'm a minority here, of course, but not as far as being American. And I've felt, positively brought into the community for the most part. I mean, I think if anything, perhaps there's been maybe some thought that what I experienced here more often, but not in any way that feels negative to me, because I don't take it that way, is maybe a little bit of, I don't even want to say a judgment, but some sort of thought that because I'm a popular singer, that I am not as, culturally interesting, But I actually sing jazz, I sing blues, I sing classical, and I enjoy it just because I don't have my doctorate in that. I've performed with RTV Slovenia and big bands and whole symphonies in America, and you can do that as a performer there. You can actually do that and not be with the education that they kind of look at as being a little bit more beneficial to your career here. And I don't know exactly why that is. I think maybe it's because I've thought and tried to theorize it. I'm not sure if I did it correctly, but maybe because there's so much more opportunity for musicians and singers in America. Here it is more important that you just go to school and that you just you maintain this educational aspect of music.
So they can take high risks.
Exactly,
basically.
yes. And I completely respect that. This is the culture, and I think I'm very I respect that. But yes, in America it's different. You can.
Sure.
I've sung at jazz clubs here. I'm not a jazz singer, but I think that I can sing a pretty mean jazz song.
You wanted to add something?
No, I was just
Carlos?
regarding me, and I'm also not educated. I sing, but I think the genre I sing doesn't require, like judgment in that genre is not really that common. If you're doing classical music, then I see a little bit of like my girlfriend is a master in piano, so she's a very well educated classical musician, and we always have this like, she judges me for being a pop music producer, and at the same time I'm like, why don't you write your own song? Why are you just playing other people's music,
You can do it.
Yeah, I'm like, you're a tribute band. She's like, you just suck, you don't know how to sing. So there's that kind of thing,
Sure, just a little playful,
No,
poking.
nothing serious. It's just like,
That's also your attitude, like I think that my attitude as well was not like taking it so personally or upset. I just said, it's like this for me, it's like this for you. You sing beautifully, and people expect from you that you are going to sing maybe a certain popular way. A lot of people wanted to collaborate with me in popular music here because I'm American native English singer.
Definitely.
And I was very happy to do that, to collaborate with people because I can offer, I'm also a songwriter, I can offer something that will help them actually go beyond the borders, and that's been actually a really great experience for me. I've released quite a bit of music internationally with Slovenian producers.
Nice.
On different labels throughout the world. So it's been a lovely experience to be able to help Slovenian producers and musicians go beyond what they might have here as opportunity.
I think that just to add something, the thing with the classical musician or even jazz, like that attitude towards the uneducated comes from the amount of work they have to do to be able to be in that place, and to them, when you compare it to like an Instagram views, let's say it like that way, when you see someone who just got for doing nothing, and that's how we say it. So to them it's like, how are you popular while I've been I don't know how many hours a day just repeating the same piece? And this is like a little bit of ego things going, but other than that I think there shouldn't be that kind of sentiment towards other genres, other people who do something else.
Any other comment on this topic?
On this one?
Okay. Oh, you wanted to refer to something else?
No, are we done with the next slide about
Sure, yes, by all means.
No, because what I was thinking, looking at this chart, yes, I also identify myself in the down the middle. But then I'm not sure exactly how it continues, because I know that at least myself and Lasanti, we represent a tradition that is not associated with our home country. So that adds perhaps another layer of these movements, of this, because I never really identified with Argentinian music, as we were joking at the beginning with tango or all that. I listen to it, I can talk about it, when it's not that I'm against it, but it's not a thing that I've studied, such as I've studied Hindustani, such as Lasanti coming from Sri Lanka, studying Hindustani. It's not your home country's music, right? And another thing I think it was Hannah who mentioned this, like, in a way I feel like I'm a super minority here, like a minority within a minority, even though I pass, as I already have said. So, I don't know how would I define myself within this spectrum, but if anything, I think it would be the 2.3, the transformation, new qualities, because when I know, for instance, when I am playing within a Slovenian context, doing jazz songs or something like that, I'm still thinking in terms of Hindustani or Carnatic music, even though I'm playing non-Hindustani instruments, right? So that's my prism.
I guess maybe categories, subcategories.
Okay.
Sure. Okay, so some of you are performing music from the country of origin, and some, as we heard, not. So not necessarily, because there was some stereotypes. So, for example, if you have somebody coming from Macedonia, then this person will join the Macedonian cultural society, sing Macedonian songs, and then perform Macedonian dances in Slovenia as a minority. But here in this case, I think we can simply say maybe that this is like oversimplification, because the things obviously are much more complex and very different from that. We don't say that this doesn't exist. Of course, if we analyze the societies, we will see that many people participate in this. But this brings me to a question for Dalanda. Who is actually participating in Sankofa? Is it limited in any sense to Africans, or do we? Is it freely open to anybody who would like to perform African music?
Yeah, it's mainly intended for Africans and African descendants who want to stay in touch in some way with African music. But we also accept everyone who wants to sing. I mean, there's a lot of interest among the mothers of children who are biracial, because they also want to get to know their children's culture. So I think this is really important. And also a lot of other people who just love African culture and just want to sing African music.
Mm-hmm. Any other comment on this? Because I think this is a specific case, and Mojca was also making researches, as you know, about this, and provided lots of interesting data. So I'm curious, are you involved in performing Slovenian music? Actively engaged in performing Slovenian? Shall we start maybe on this side of the table this time? Ali.
I sing Slovenian, but not mainly Slovenian. I usually have a medley of Arabic, Turkish, Serbian and Slovenian in one song, so that's how I perform Slovenian.
Can you just briefly say, what was the reception about your performing of Slovenian music?
Oh, they really liked it. It was very welcome, so especially when I was always doing all the other languages but Slovenian, and now that I added it, they were really happy with it.
So you didn't feel any negative experience, negative comments? So
no.
It was appreciation?
Yeah, and usually it's, I get invited by the Arabic club, so there's a lot of Slovene guests, and they like when they see an Arab singing their language.
Again, the language.
Yeah, it's very appreciated. I think because they're like a small nation, and any appreciation feels big. So.
And a small nation which was historically not sovereign.
Exactly. So that adds to it that their sense of identity needs enforcement. Not enforcement, but like enrichment.
I would even say that their sense of identity, or
not sense of identity. They like their identity to be more crystallized and respected. That's how I see it, you know? Because they were not allowed to have a country for so long. They were under some empire or some other...
But the refuge in a way was the language.
Exactly, yeah. Definitely.
And I always find it interesting how little the language changed over the course of centuries.
Yeah,
that tells you something. You know?
they're very proud of it.
Santi, what are your experiences?
Yes, I'm also singing Slovenian songs and collaborating with Slovenian musicians whenever I get a chance.
It's closer to me.
And yes, as we all mentioned more or less that if we sing in Slovenština, people really like to see this. They highly appreciate it. Even if we make mistakes, they have full patience to tolerate and encourage us. So sometimes when I translate some Sri Lankan songs into Slovene, just to perform in elderly homes for the parents, because they would come more closer to me when I sing in Sinhalese, in Slovene. And they would sometimes they cry all the time just looking at me. And then as soon as I stopped, they were like so curious and asking, you are singing in Slovene, but the music is different. But wow, it is so beautiful. Can we hear from your own language? So still they wanted to hear. That means earlier I thought that when I sing in Slovenština, I don't need to explain the song. This was just to stop blah blah stories. I don't want to talk in concerts because the energy goes. And then when I sing and try to come closer to them, but still they wanted to hear how it sounds like in my own language. So sometimes the same song I am singing 2 times. And they really appreciate. And all the time, one of our neighbors, when we have some tea meetings, I invite her, and she always says, now you are living here for so long, you can speak, you can express yourself, why don't you teach in Slovenština? So then I say that my vocabulary is not rich enough to express myself to the students, and all the students speak Slovene, English. And then she said to me, Yala Santi, you know, look, if somebody would go to Germany or to Russia, no excuse, all the teaching process in German or in Russian, no way in middle that to accommodate for the foreigners. Everybody should speak, if not, sorry. But here, yes, we are a small nation. If we all come to that point, what would happen to our language? So she's in her 90s, so I understand her perfectly. And sometimes when I go back to Sri Lanka, when I give interviews in media, I always mention, quote to this sentence that the parents, like 90 years old, it's a small nation comparing to Sri Lanka. It is 21 million and here 2 million. But people, elderly generation, are very much concerned about their language, their identity, and they always support the foreigners to continue it, to keep it in this way, that you can do. So this is such a big, how to say, it's a big pleasure also from when I see as an elderly person who brings this comment, and also for me, I see it as a really the person who has really heart for their nation. So this is my experience, and I'm very happy that when Slovenes always appreciate whatever the mistakes we do, they don't care. But wow, you sing very beautifully. Wow, yeah, you know, this is very good.
Does it match your experience, Nagisa? I remember your Marcos Cace and some others.
Yes, maybe I have a contra experience with those two musicians, and I regret myself that I rather not to sing in Slovene language because another aspect of characteristic is linguist, and maybe I'm very complicated than others. When I talk, yes, of course, when I talk as well, but when I sing in Japanese, it's totally different from singing in other languages. When I sing in Japanese, I think that this piece of music is mine. When I sing in foreign languages, I don't feel, well, I cannot devote in that song. Not, well, somehow, yes, but not at all, not fully. So I rather sing in Japanese languages, even in if it is classical language. Well, I want to convey Japanese sound with melody to audience. Maybe it's not user friendly, audience friendly, like Lasanti does. Maybe I will challenge in the near future in Slovene language to sing, but well, it is my experience, and it is a very strange, foreign feeling.
So Hanna, did you ever try to perform in public, let's say, song in Slovene song?
Yes, I've performed a lot in Slovene actually. I recorded, well, I have a 9-piece band here in Slovenia. We have about, I don't know, before Corona, like 40 gigs a year. And we have songs that we've released on the radio in Slovene. So usually I write the music in English, and then my vocabulary is not so advanced that I would be a great Slovenian songwriter yet. So I work with Slovene songwriters to adapt the lyrics into Slovene, and then I sing the song in Slovenian. And it's been a lot of times, we have about 5 radio singles in the last maybe 10 years. I've sang
called the band?
Executives.
Okay.
Spelled
With an
completely
X.
as not as you expected.
Yes, I didn't come up with the name, so it's not, yeah, it's an interesting name, but I have the opposite experience with, I would actually like to perform the songs in Slovene in our concerts, and the band doesn't want me to. They prefer this kind of music in English, so I'm actually really always pushing. We should do it in Slovene, we should do it in Slovene.
You're the one pushing for it.
Yes, of course, of course. I would really enjoy doing our songs that we wrote and put so much trouble, and that I really struggled to, you know, perform properly in the accent and everything. So I would like to sing it in Slovenian, but they're always like, no, it sounds, we do better in English, we sound better in this music in English, so.
So allow me a very strange, bizarre question.
It's an interesting,
You know,
situation.
When somebody represents Slovenia in the Eurosong, like you did, was there any time, any discussion in which language will you perform?
No, because the song that was chosen was English, so that was the selected song from the beginning, was written, and that's what our TV wanted. They wanted this dance song in English with dubstep and all of this stuff. So
That's what you gave him?
that's what I gave them.
Which year was this?
2013. Yeah. And it was really, you know, it wasn't the most extremely positive results. It was really terrible, actually. But it was a really amazing experience for me just to be involved in this way with the Slovenian music industry and representing. It was quite an honor. If I did it again, I mean, it was the first time that it was actually they selected. So it was a strange, there was no pre-selection, there was no public involvement. So if it was to be done again, I had previously performed on EMA, and this was much more exciting because the community was involved, you know. But this was, you know, what singer isn't going to decline an offer to perform on a world stage if asked, you know. So it was really overall positive for me. But I enjoy it. I sing Zdravica for the president and, you know, for a couple of our U.S. Embassy events, and it's really, I enjoy it very much, actually.
Great, thank you. Fabulous.
Quickly, yes. I'm not a singer, but I have played with many Slovenian groups, bands, and as I said before, I never played Slovenian instruments, as far as I am aware. So, yeah. So I'm always, in a way, giving to that particular ensemble a different kind of flavor. Sorry about that. So I go there and I play a sort of percussion and tabla and all that, sometimes ukulele or whatever. And so for me, it was not this kind of big difference, because to me, I see music in two ways. It's either Hindustani or Carnatic that has a lot of rules and I'm super comfortable with that, or it's everything else, you know. And so for that, if I'm playing Irish music or Galician music or Slovenian or whatever, I really, more or less, it feels the same way. But in terms of the reaction, I always get in a way a positive reaction when somebody introduces me from whatever project I'm in. And Carlos from Cuba. It has happened that they miscountry me, whatever. But that is normally a good thing.
I know that Bharat is active in performing Slovenian songs.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So
Tell us about
I feel like one of the ways to get to a language is through the music, and I was fortunate to sort of really get into the folk songs here, because there's an active scene, and so I ended up sort of learning a few along with my wife. For her it was sort of new, because she would not listen to a lot of folk music at home, so she was happy to learn more about her own culture in that way. So this idea, it's interesting because we were talking about languages, and so there's different sort of elements to unfold. I have largely had the same experience as Lasanti, in that it's been a positive reaction whenever I perform these, especially because it's folk songs and it represents history, tradition, a culture, and so I think there's really a sort of warmth towards in reception when these songs are sung. I also have an interesting sort of take on languages in general, because Nagisa mentioned that she feels the most comfortable singing in Japanese, and because language and anything else feels foreign. I think learning Carnatic music and doing that from young exposes you to do exactly the opposite, because you either learn singing in a language in Sanskrit, which is an ancient language, or in languages that are not your own. So you're routinely asked to express in a foreign tongue. So this sort of experience presented itself again and again. So I would sing Spanish songs in Valencia, in Spain, and now doing the same thing here. And I really think it's an interesting way to both get into the cultural scheme of things as well as learn the language.
Can I ask you, what kind of music, actually, Slovenian music, does your wife prefer? What would be her music? So this is the next round of the questions. Yeah.
Well, I think there was a lot of at home. There's a lot of radio that's played, so a lot of the radio programs, which includes classical music. But otherwise, I think she likes a lot of the European jazz music.
Okay, thank you.
I would just like to go back on the other
Please,
questions.
yes.
I mean, I don't sing in Slovenian. I used to in school, and I sing to my children. And I mean, it's different because Slovenian music is my music. But I just remember, because I have a friend, Irena, she's an opera singer, Irena Tiran, and she performed Zdravljica at the celebration of the 25th of June, I don't know which year. And it was very well accepted, but she was so hurt because there were some really inappropriate comments on the internet about her performance. So it was really, I mean, because we don't question our language. We know, I mean, Zdravljica is our national anthem because she's also, her father is from Ghana and her mother is Slovenian. So she was really hurt because she was singing her anthem in her own language, and it was, I mean, some people really had some bad comments about it. So.
Keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
I think maybe Ali, would you like to add something on this?
Oh yeah, it was a massacre.
Yes.
When I sang it in Arabic, yeah. Yeah, you know, with Irena, we also have a video of Zdravljica.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but it's
I will
done differently.
I will perform this for you, this video, just a little
yeah,
bit later.
okay. Yeah, so after I sang it in Arabic, right, it was the second one, after the Slovenian one, with another Irena that performs opera. She opened the ceremony, and then it was me on the piano, singing it in Arabic, my music, not the original music. And then there was Chris Ekman on English, and then there was Nagisa and Bosnian, Macedonian, etc. On the news, they only showed the director and then me singing it in Arabic, and people were very angry online. They're saying, how do you put our anthem only in Arabic, blah blah blah, are you the Islamization of Europe, blah blah blah. And there were people asking that, why wasn't it sang in Slovenian? And I was like, guys, Bosnian doesn't offend you. Like, it's the Arabic, like, I don't know. I did not really get the, but it was a lot of fun because one dude made a video, and when I start singing, I just say Allahu Akbar and it was dispersed. I literally died. Like, it was so funny. It was so funny. I invited that dude for a beer, but he wanted me to play a video game with him to accept my invitation. I was like, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of this funny moments.
But if you go to internet and take a look, actually, there is some person signed as Slovene, something like that.
Yeah, this dude.
Yeah, but this
dude has actually the video that has like the most views, and it's the only video of the performance on YouTube. So whenever I'm sharing it, I'm sharing that one with all the hate comments.
Yeah, many comments on this. Sorry, Drago, and then Marina.
I just have a small question.
Yes.
We always somehow connected performing Slovenian music with language, so always with songs. Do you have maybe experiences without the language, or without also? I saw a very strong connection with traditional music or traditional song. This is how you perform Slovenian. Do you have maybe without this with language or traditional? I know Carlos said something about that, but from others.
I don't get the
Yes,
question exactly.
You mean instrumental music,
Yes.
Slovenian instrumental music, yeah?
Instrumental music as in Narodna zabavna, or as in something
I
else?
just mean, when somebody asks you, do you performing also Slovenian music, as Svanibor said, all the answers were, yes, we sing in Slovenia. So it's performing Slovenian music is somehow connected from your answers, always with songs or with language.
Probably because the ones who answered that are singers, and you probably perform Slovenian music without singing.
Yeah, but I did make the connection that it's such a strong relationship between Slovenianness and the language.
Yeah.
That sure, I do not perform, but
Yeah, but I think you're maybe the best one to answer this because we're all just singing. So.
honestly, as I said before, I see my whenever I perform Slovenian music with my percussion set or ukuleles or tabla tarang or whatever it is, I see that, as I said, as music, and I automatically give it a different flavor because, you know, tabla and all that. But I wouldn't say that there's something in my experience typically Slovenian about that. But it's to me, again, through me. It's not that it's anything different from playing other sort of European music, I'm afraid. But again, because I come from this particular place in which my home music is from India, too, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I just think that Drago wanted to say that you always associate, not all of you, but mostly associate Slovenian music with traditional music. So does this come to mind to you when you speak about Slovenian music? When you say Slovenian music, you perform traditional music, or?
Oh yeah.
So this is, yes, because
Yeah.
you said, like, for example, your comment was interesting. You said your wife didn't listen to folk music, and now she's getting to know her own culture. So in your perception, is like Slovenian music should be traditional music, but still, you know, most of Slovenians don't identify with
ljudska?
folk music. Yeah, with
You mean
ljudska
ljudska?
music, with
Yeah, I
folk
don't,
music.
I don't
So
perform
folk music.
traditional, so.
You just use the language.
No, I sing songs from Adis Molar.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
She's
That's
singer-songwriter, but
Mhm.
I don't
okay.
perform traditional music.
Okay, Marino had a question. It is not a question, it's just, let's say, my opinion. So, for me it is very interesting. When we started almost 20 years ago with the International Youth Music Camp of Traditional Musicians, for me it was very very nice to hear. So we took one traditional melody, Slovenian or traditional or other parts, and so because they were all traditional musicians, they all had roots in their own tradition, so everybody played in his own style one melody. And it was so nice. So you can imagine if you were, for example, all traditional musicians, we took one Slovenian melody and everybody of you plays it in his own way. For me, it would be some fantastic. And the second thing that I wanted to tell you is what happened to me. So I played once with my group that we are coming from Istria. And Istria is a multicultural region.
Marina, I think it wouldn't be bad if you maybe just take it a little bit up, because now you're on distance with us, so that we can better
Or
hear
maybe
you.
come closer.
So we were invited and we played at the državni proslavi,
Yeah.
26. junija. And so the program was going on, and it has finished a little bit too fast. It was a little bit, and so someone in behind told us, "Play another one, play another tune, play another tune." Okay, so what? Okay, and we started to play one Italian from my region. So Kulchan was dancing, no problem. Don't know, check.
You didn't like that?
What's going on? And then it was in Delo, in newspaper, there were some comments how it's possible that we can hear an Italian song in our this državna
State
proslava.
celebration. Yeah.
Are you bringing
So-
fascism back?
So I was thinking it should be one at least one Hungarian, because we have these different minorities. So the second thing that I want to say, the third one say. Okay, so once again I have performed with one singer from my region, and we also performed one song that it is, you know, our dialect, it is mixed with Slovenian, Croatian and Italian. And so the one who was directing the proslava told the singer, you have to eliminate these Italian words, so you have to translate it in Slovenian. For me,
Chilling.
I said, I told him, let's go back home. This is not for me. But okay, Marina, he said, told me, okay. But really, he had to translate it.
Interesting.
And chilling.
Yes, this is what happened to me.
May I?
Yes, Nagisa. Yeah.
Marina's. Well, now I think from your talk that when I play or when we play for ourselves, it's nothing is problem. But when we are on the stage, once we are on the stage, there are two words, on the stage and the audience. And it happens, the conflict. What they want to hear from ours, or what we want to play, and how we want to play and sing a song. And this is two different songs. And maybe the traditional folk music, we don't have those differences because they don't have the stage. They could song what they want to song, and they could, I don't know, they could even sing in their dialects, and how the lengths of the song they can, how to say, they can sing longer or shorter, or they can add another melody, and so they could enjoy it. But once they get on the stage, they shouldn't. Yeah. I want to play like at home. Not at home. This is not a good phrase, but of course I want to play for the audience. But I want to give the feeling that I of the soul of the music, soul of the language, and maybe it is not welcomed by the audience, and this is the conflict. This is also to the comment of Professor Drago. Well, to deliver what we delivered, this is sometimes not accepted by the audience.
Okay, I would say now maybe we can skip this question that I suggested a little bit earlier, and then move to this. So it is not that you came from another country to Slovenia, but I'm curious about this sense, not necessarily how you perceive yourself, but how the others sometimes perceive you. How does it affect actually your musicianship? Can you maybe just give some positive, negative examples from what? Did it support anyway your ambitions in the musical field? Is it positive? Is it negative? Does it have any impact actually on what you are doing? Who would like to start?
Yeah, I can start. I mean, earlier I know that Carlos mentioned positive discrimination. So I think, I mean, there's a little bit of negative also, but I think that mostly people in Slovenia are really happy to meet someone who's from another country and are really enthusiastic about it. So I think in a way it helps you to be more known about around, that people know you. I don't know how to say.
Yeah, but I would argue that it's as long as that country where people come from is far away, because it's not the same reaction when somebody from a neighboring country comes,
yeah, of
or
course,
from the
yeah,
old
yeah,
Yugoslavia and all that.
yeah,
You
definitely
get a different treatment.
Yeah,
You do.
yeah, I agree.
Depends where
Yeah.
in Yugoslavia.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. Just wanted to make that particular exemption because
Yeah, it's true.
does.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. But what I wanted to say in my case, then I think that people are interested in African culture, in African music, and African dance because they don't know it, and it's always something that they like to watch, like to listen to, and we always get a positive reaction. So, yeah.
Because your concert was fire, literally.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Thank you.
Bharat?
Just sort of going off of what you were talking about just now, I think this idea of minority largely has to do with, of course, there's two aspects of it. One is the statistical, and one is the more emotional, which has to do with how you would like to be represented, how you perceive being treated, and so on and so forth. But all of this largely has to do, in what I have seen as an Indian male, to do with the number of people who are there in a given locality in order to form the stereotype. So, for instance, being an Indian in Singapore is very different than being an Indian in China, and it's very different than being an Indian in Slovenia. So that's a very interesting take, because in being an Indian in Singapore has to the association is largely with the migrant labor force that's there. Of course, India is I mean, the third highest population, so it's a big minority in Singapore in that respect. In China, they don't see any person of color, so it's just pointing and they're saying, "Why go around?" and then taking a photo with you. And here, there's such few Indians that, for instance, I was getting a checkup for my driving license last week, and the nurse automatically spoke to me in Bosnian. And even she didn't realize it, and then my wife had to say, "No, he speaks English," and then the language shift happened. So it really depends on that. But I think to go back to the question, I've had very interesting positive additions, I think, to my music learning. Particularly being in Slovenia, I think going back to this earlier notion of education, I see a lot of value in the arts being formalized and being taught in this way, especially having come from a culture where it's very differently taught. It's still formal in many ways, but it's not in an academic setting of this nature, and to be talking about it in this sort of a setting. So it's definitely been eye-opening, and it's it would be hard for me to even verbalize the ways in which it's affected me musically just yet.
Do you sometimes feel that you are a musician in the first place? Would you like to be recognized as a musician rather than, I don't know, the representative of that or that country? As we know, in real life, sometimes there are situations in which a person is ready to die for the homeland, in the sense. And some other people would say, well, sorry, I had to be born somewhere, so it just happened to be that I was born here and not there, you know. So I'm just curious how you feel about this. Where is this placing your musicianship? Is music in the first place?
Yes.
Yes?
No, I just answered the question. Yes, it is. Music in the first place.
Not the first place, but whole.
I can maybe answer.
Okay. Yeah.
So when I came here, people were very welcoming. When I say I'm from Syria, everyone was very interested. Like, wow, Syria, tell us about it. Because that was beginning of 2012, before the big wave of migration. After that, everything changed. And to them now, when I say I'm a Syrian, usually I get two reactions. Either like they feel pity for me, or they're afraid of me, right? They're either like, "Oh, we're sorry," or "Shit, gotta get out of here."
Really?
Yeah. I mean, when I used to go to anywhere social, because I don't do parties and stuff for like maybe 3 years. I don't go to bars and stuff. But back then, like it was just there, 2015, 16, people's attitude towards Syrian changed. However, also opportunities with some, like I had better opportunities that I was invited for the Prešernove nagrade. I was invited to the American Embassy to perform something, like there was some conference and I opened it with 3 songs from all around. Yeah, so there was this kind of things, and that kind of was, musically it was better for me because the discrimination was like kind of like a spotlight. So.
Thank you. These are very valuable experience. Anybody else has something of that kind? Okay, if not, I'm curious. What could be changed for better in Slovenia to provide you with more chances for your musical practice and so on? Are there any suggestions that you would, something that you would like to see different? Yes.
I noticed a trend in Slovenia as a country that arts in general are not as supported as, let's say, sports. like as a sportsman, you'll find a lot of opportunities, a lot of things going on. But as a musician here, I don't know, it seems to me that the music scene is really not developed yet. It's way behind in comparison to many other countries in the region. So that's one thing. If somebody would like to.
Thank you. Yes.
I would agree with you.
Mhm.
There should be more
Please,
opportunities.
Hannah, please say.
I mean, just to agree, I think there could be more opportunities and programs in place
Mhm.
for musicians and artists here for development.
Mhm. Great.
Also to add, like most of the events, you might find people who care about ethno music, and there are some small events happening here and there, and it's usually the same people. They circle around different places. Then you have the festivals, which usually has classical or jazz, or the variants of jazz music. When it comes to any other genre, it's really not developed. So that's where it ends. You want to do pop, you want to do hip hop, you want to do any kind of, you want to do funk, it's just not there.
Experimental. Yeah.
So there is no, it's kind of, I don't know, like it kind of stuck somewhere in the past. It's kind of like a closed system, so it's not really open-minded musically. That's how I see it. But when it comes to sport, everything is open. Like it's one of the best countries in the world to be into sports, right? They have a lot of achievements. It's incredible. When it comes to music, especially, for example, I'm a big Eurovision fan, and it's no surprise that Slovenia is always last in the betting sites. Especially this year.
It's all your fault, Hannah. You know
I'm
that.
sorry.
So there is 41 candidates, right? There's 41 candidates, and usually the betting signs get it right. Who's gonna win? Slovenia's 41 is the last one. Like
That's terrible.
is that like?
I can say something about that. I think that a part of this reason is because there are some incredible singers here in Slovenia. And some of them, most of them, won't do Eurovision because it is not something that is respected here. And it's not something that RTV even gives a budget to.
Yeah.
It's the RTV, the Slovenian delegation, it's their heart and soul dream fantasy to be a part of Eurovision every year. Their hearts are broken because they don't have the budget for it.
Yeah.
So this is simply the issue. There's not enough budget, and every year it's the same. So when there's not enough, as speaking personally, for me it was such a dichotomy of experiences when I was there, because as an American, you're used to being really proud, you know, at least I was. And now it's like, and then when you go to represent Slovenia, all of a sudden you feel, wait a second, you see the discrimination of the other delegations and the other people there. They're like, oh, you're from Slovenia. You know, like they don't exactly respect the country as ability to bring a song that is going to do well. And this is a shame because there's a lot of potential.
I can explain why this is happening. This is when I say that art is not developed here, I really mean it. Especially you can see it in Eurovision, because Eurovision is a song contest, not a singing contest. And as long as they're always sending the best singer with the worst possible song, they're not gonna do it, because this is not The Voice. This is not to
But even
judge.
if they do have a good song, which I know personally some who do really have some great songs who will never enter because they don't have the support and the budget behind them.
That's one thing.
To do what they deserve.
That's one thing. The other thing is with the EMA, I see it always. They choose the best singer. They don't choose the best song.
This is true as well.
And I've seen the best song always losing right there, and people getting angry at it every time. And I'm like it was a really obvious choice who to send to be in the final, right?
Right.
Only last 2 years they made an okay choice, but last year, this year it was like, hey, this is the winner, but no, we're gonna choose this one because we're Slovenian, you know. And for me, it was like, you couldn't see it, and some people were angry because this Lena lost, and they were saying because Slovenia wouldn't choose someone with Balkan background, but I don't think that's the case. They just went with the best singer.
Over bigger structures, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of bureaucracy still going on, the systems for how you need to apply to all this RASPISI and all that. There's so much of that if you would like anything to change, that system will have to be slowly dismantled. I mean, I've been to amazing electronic alternative music and alternative performance noise festivals, all of that in Ljubljana. Did you hear about it?
Of course.
Well, but are those commended or like those things exist?
That's, I think, what you're saying. They're just not put out enough
Exactly.
I don't
They're
feel
not
like you don't
into
have
the
the
main
chance.
They're all
Stages.
guerrilla organized. They are
Yeah.
like people who care about this and they bring something like that. So I just think that because of all this, this industry, if you will, of industry, is all slanted toward these two choices, and happens in education as well, informal education, is that I think it points toward more a problem of how the money is allocated, as Hannah was saying, how these systems of this bureaucracy work, which is very common in Central Europe. It's not just us.
And the radio stations as well. If people want to listen to some radio, there's the very few stations that will play this, sort of music that is, I think, something that could also change.
Thank you so much. That was great. So thank you, Dalanda, and Bharat, and Carlos, and Hanna, and Nagis, and Lasanti, and Ali. Wonderful. I hope you enjoyed. I enjoyed. I hope the audience learned something new. And it was very important that I think you have a voice, so that we can learn from you actually how you feel, how you think about all these issues and so. And so now we have to finish because there will be yet another roundtable, and the second roundtable will be in Slovene, and it will be based actually on the historical, on the timetable like between Yugoslavia and Slovenia.